Welcome everybody to the Captain Spot. I'm your host Justin Freeman. 6 foot 1 inches, 276 pounds of fantasy knowledge. And we have a very special Sunday Night Football edition of the Captain Spot where we're talking Packers at Saints. The Green Bay Packers traveling south to Nolans to take on Drew Brees and the Saints. And this looks like a really interesting affair. We're talking about a game with a 52.5 point total. Saints favored at home by 3 points, suggesting this would be a coin flip game on neutral field. But before we hop into the slate, quick reminder, go check out CaptainSpot.com. That's CPTSpot.com. Pick up a copy of the Captain Spot ebook. It's $34.99, guys. You can't beat it. Everything you'd ever hope to know about playing Showdown DFS all in one spot. And if you want to read my stuff for the rest of the year, be sure you're checking out Numberball.com, premium DFS website there, where you'll get all the good takes. We've had a super successful season so far here through 2.5 weeks. So really interested to talk about this particular slate with you guys. Again, it's Packers at Saints. We're talking game with a 52.5 point total. That's Fireworks City, baby. Like, you can't beat that. Well, I say you can't beat that. We're talking about a Seahawks-Cowboys game the afternoon with 57 point total. Just ungodly. But 52.5 points, that's a lot. That's a really, really high Vegas number. So we have to think about what does that mean as far as schematics for the rest of the game. And, you know, the same thing is true for how we adjust to these 2-star wide receivers being out of the game. We're talking Michael Thomas for the New Orleans Saints, out. Devontae Adams for the Green Bay Packers, currently listed as doubtful. The translation is that's out. You know, we haven't seen a player doubtful suit up since the Kennedy administration. So it's been a while. So overall, make sure you're checking the inactives report just in case anything crazy happens. But I do not expect to see Devontae Adams suit up in this game. There are a couple sort of minor injuries on the depth chart for us to make sure we are cognizant of. Josiah DeGuara, who is like the third string tight end for the Packers, he's listed as doubtful as well. Ty Montgomery, third string running back for the Saints, listed as questionable. Other than that, I think we've got a clean sheet. We're talking really significant injuries, though, at the wide receiver position, and really interesting depth charts to try to figure out for each of those teams moving into this game. So with 2-star receivers out of the game, salaries become really interesting in how we're going to attack this thing. We have suddenly tons of money. We no longer have to jam Devontae Adams or Michael Thomas into our lineups and spend, $11,000 a piece to do so. We can now, and these are the two best freaking wide receivers in the game of football. Like, we would be playing them for sure. And now we don't have to do that. We have tons of money. So a really, really good week for us to get unique, leave a lot of money on the table, and get a really unique lineup, high-scoring affair. Make sure we're taking advantage of some of those opportunities. So without further ado, let's head right into the slates here and understand what we're talking about in terms of salary, starting with our high-priced players at the quarterback position. Aaron Rodgers will cost you $11,000 this week. Now, I just told you, we've got a little bit more money to play with. We are not jamming Devontae Adams and Michael Thomas into the lineup. However, I will say that we have to consider what are the most likely ways for this game to go. What would you do if you were a head coach and you no longer had a receiver who is capable of hauling in 10 to 15 targets a game? It may make you rethink about how you are redistributing your run-pass ratios, and things of that nature. So while I'll say you have the money to play really both of these quarterbacks in the same lineup, and you probably should, given the total of this game, there's an opportunity to be really contrarian by just playing one, because everybody has the same issue. Everybody has the available funds to be able to play both of them. You may want to consider playing one. I think optimal is going to be play two, no doubt about it. But just consider that as an option on the table. What would you do? Is it out of the realm of possibility that neither of these teams passes and drops back as frequently as they normally would given the circumstances? At the running back position, two really, really high-priced running backs. These are guys we're going to want to really zero in on. Aaron Jones, 11.4. Alvin Kamara, 11.8. And there are some backup options behind them. Different degrees of interest on each of those guys. Jamal Williams will cost you $2,000. And Jamal Williams is getting enough run to justify paying that particular salary for him. I'm not afraid to pay for Jamal Williams at $2,000. The only question is, do you really have to? Do you have to do that for a player like Jamal Williams, who's, he's getting on the field. He's averaging 41% of snaps here through 2 weeks. He's getting 24% on average of the team's rushing market share. That's not bad. Like that's usually a doable number for a guy that low. The only question is, like, do we need that in our lineup? And I don't think we really do. And the same thing is true for Tyler Ervin and A.J. Dillon, two of the really, really cheap options there on the Green Bay side of the football. I don't think we have to go quite that deep. I'm more interested in some of the receivers who will see boosted usage as a result. And on the New Orleans side, I definitely am interested in Latavius Murray now. We talked about this on the Monday night edition, and we just saw the Saints playing in a primetime game, and I was interested in Latavius Murray. That didn't work out that time, but I'm interested in going back to the well. Latavius Murray is getting on the field. Not as frequently as teammate Alvin Kamara at this point, but if you tell me I can get a guy who's going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of 35% of the team rushes, 40%, 45% on a good day of the team's rushes in a high-powered offense, I'm really, really interested in that. It doesn't take much for Latavius Murray to pay off. He's got capable hands to be able to compete. I've seen him even come in on passing downs for the Saints. So it's he's not just a true downhill runner. He can be used. Ty Montgomery, we said, was questionable. We can't use him at $1,000 even. We just can't consider that. Moving on to our pass catchers in this game. On the Green Bay side, it's MVS and Allen Lazard that sort of figured to be the legit two-wide set. Now, the Packers literally have no receivers. They've got Valdez-Scantling. They've got Allen Lazard, $6,200, by the way, for Allen Lazard. We'll take that. But behind that, there's not a whole lot of options. There's Malik Taylor, and that's it. They have only played 4 wide receivers this year. Only 4 wide receivers have logged a single offensive snap. That is a tight rotation. And it is detrimental in a slate like this where you're losing such a superstar receiver. So that would indicate to us that MVS, Allen Lazard, and Malik Taylor will now make up your new 3-wide set there in Green Bay. That means one of two things. We're going to see a lot of Malik Taylor, or the Packers are going to utilize more 2 tight end sets. And they do have 2 tight ends that I don't know if I'd call them capable. They're capable of being on the field together at the same time. But Jay Sternberger and Robert Tonyan. Now, Tonyan is certainly my favorite of the 2. He has much better peripherals than Sternberger. And we saw Tonyan get into the end zone last week. Big Bob Tonyan fan here is your boy Justin Freeman from the captain spot. So I'm interested there. I think the Packers will end up calling up one of the guys from their practice squad. Robert Foster is probably the most likely guy to get called up. He does not have a DraftKings salary at the time that we are recording. DraftKings has had a history of adding players later in the week as they become available and are called up from practice squads. So kind of the Wild West out there in terms of how the IR spots and the inactives and things like that are being handled this year. But we shall adjust. But overall, I should definitely hit on Malik Taylor at $200. You can't find a better value than that. He's $200 and probably projects to see 4 or 5 targets in this game. So, we're going to be really interested in a $200 Malik Taylor. He's got to catch, 2 balls for 25 yards, and he's majorly paid off his salary. You just need all the other pieces to come together and work like they're supposed to. On the New Orleans side of the ball, we're talking pass catchers. And by the way, before I get too far there, let's talk about Allen Lazard and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. Valdez-Scantling's more expensive, $600, but there is no way that should be the case. Allen Lazard is clearly the preferred option in this offense. He's running way ahead of MVS. Allen Lazard clocked 87% and 84% of the team's snaps in the first 2 weeks. MVS, 54% and 63% these first 2 weeks. So clearly Allen Lazard is running ahead of him. The targets have been, in MVS's favor so far, but we've seen Allen Lazard be favored by Aaron Rodgers with a larger sample size. So definitely way more interested in Allen Lazard, especially given the price point. There's no doubt about it. That's a slam dunk. But on the New Orleans side, Tre'Quan Smith is the most expensive pass catcher, $8,200, as he should be. He came in and saw a pretty reasonable target share last week. And Jared Cook at 7,600 sort of rounds out the top two options there. Jared Cook obviously is going to be the best red zone threat of anybody available on the New Orleans side of the ball through the air. So I am definitely interested in getting a piece of that. We want to try to cover our bases in terms of touchdowns, especially in single game DFS. Touchdowns are so uber important. We want to make sure we have that. Jared Cook gives you a really, really nice floor ceiling combo. He's going to be a bit of a target hog so long as Michael Thomas is out. Emmanuel Sanders at 5,600. This is a guy who probably more people were interested in playing than Tre'Quan Smith in the last Monday night game, but really kind of let everybody down. I don't really know what to make of that. He didn't look very good as he played. He didn't earn a ton of targets, and the ones he did get, he dropped and didn't do much with. And so I can't honestly recommend playing him other than he's getting opportunity. And so you may want to sprinkle him in there, but overall, I would much rather, I don't think you're going to have a major salary issue on this slate. Much rather play Tre'Quan Smith. Taysom Hill at 1,800. He's like the true wild card. So on a slate like this, you'll never know when is the right time to play Taysom Hill. When you do know, it'll be too late. So I can just tell you to proceed with caution. You'll see sort of how he grades out of the simulations. But behind those guys are Deontay Harris, Josh Hill, Marquez Callaway. Harris got the most snaps out of that group last week. But, overall, I'm not super, super interested in those guys. I think I'm probably more interested in the projectable volume to Malik Taylor at 200 than I am the split that appears to be happening between Deontay Harris and Marquez Callaway. So overall, there's a lot of uncertainty there. Figuring out what to do with the sort of bottom feeders on that depth chart for both of these teams is going to be critical. Figuring out whether or not to play Taysom Hill be critical. So without further ado, let's look at our captain spot selections for this game. We're looking at Allen Lazard, my boy, as the clear favorite captain, followed by Alvin Kamara and then Aaron Jones, and then a big drop-off after those three guys. And I think that makes sense. Sort of on face value, Allen Lazard is at a tremendous price point to be able to open up the remainder of your salary to fit in the rest of the studs in this game. With Allen Lazard at captain and not needing to fit in Michael Thomas, not needing to fit in Devontae Adams, we can fit in both quarterbacks. We can fit in Alvin Kamara. We can probably fit in Jared Cook. And we can fit in one more cheaper player like a Rob Tonyan or something like that. So overall, you'll see sort of how that captain distribution looks. After Lazard, Kamara, and Jones, we do get Drew Brees. Brees rates out as the highest of the of the quarterbacks on this slate. Aaron Rodgers surprisingly low, and I think part of that is due to salary. There's such a pricing disparity between Rodgers and Drew Brees. So MVS, you'll see how far down he is. He certainly he pales in comparison to Lazard, in my personal opinion. Tre'Quan Smith after that, and then Aaron Rodgers. So overall, that'll kind of cover the premier spots at the captain. And then we'll move on down to the flex. And you'll see that, once again, Drew Brees, not a surprise, right there as the most optimal captain, as the most optimal flex option, along with some of the names we've seen pop up again and again already. Latavius Murray is probably the biggest riser from the last draft to this one, indicating that he makes for a really, really good flex player, not so much a really good captain player. So, we can sprinkle him in for sure with a pretty reasonable degree of confidence. Aaron Rodgers actually doesn't grade out very well at all on flex. Like, we are kind of accustomed to seeing both quarterbacks listed atop of the flex appearances here. This is one of the first times that we've seen a quarterback fall below. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that we are now projecting targets out to some really, really low quality options at the wide receiver and tight end spot for Aaron Rodgers. This will be a true test of can these guys get it done. So overall, you got the information you need. This promises to be a pretty interesting Sunday night football game here between the Saints and the Packers. A lot of things for us to still figure out. We got to figure out what we're going to do with Taysom Hill. We got to figure out whether Aaron Rodgers makes sense to get in that lineup. But overall, you got the keys to the car, guys. You got all the information you need. Let's go out here and build some really, really good showdown lineups. That'll do it for the Sunday Night Football edition. Make sure you check out the Monday Night Football edition over on the Maya Media Network. You'll get that each and every Monday night. And again, check out CaptainSpot.com and follow me on Twitter at JustinFreeman18. Hope you guys have a good week. See you here soon.